Welcome to the CEN show, the voice of the world community. Today is the birthday of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, born in 1887, died June 10th, 1940. Garvey was known as the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, formed in Jamaica in July 1914. The UNIA aimed to achieve Black nationalism through the celebration of African history and culture. I am your host, Rasuli. I would like to introduce our panel this evening. We have Brother Mashinda. We got Sister Linda Shorter, Brother Hembrick, Brother Doctor, and Professor Amin Ra. Our guest is Kwabena, Sakidi, Jijaga, Rasuli. He's back from 2 weeks ago to continue his topic related to Black music, and we will discuss Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Good evening, Brother Kwabena. How are you? If you like, you can tell us some things about yourself, and please begin your presentation.
Yes, Kwabena Rasuli with the Clear the Airways project, and it's good to be back with you brothers and sisters and the people to talk more about this music on the anniversary of the birth, 135th anniversary of the birth of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, one bad organizer. I won't say bad, but bad, good organizer of the people. This is Black August, victim, one of the first victims really to the COINTELPRO, even though they weren't calling it that back then, but it was J. Edgar Hoover who was in charge of framing this brother up. But the organization was so important. And I'm sharing a little bit of a quote that we share on our Clear the Airways project page periodically from Marcus Garvey, dealing with propaganda and how it is used against the people, how it can be used against the people. And as we think about that, we think about this propaganda on the Negro World newspaper, how it was just everywhere. I think they were even saying, there was a book by Tony Martin I read a while ago where he talked about how that newspaper got even into the bush and even into deep up in Africa. And people would, when people would travel to Africa, people would ask them about, what about Marcus Garvey? What about this dude? But yeah, so bad brother, I'm looking forward to our discussion more about him. I want to share too a little bit more some things I read about some of his foot soldiers as we continue. But on this music piece, I mean, it is so important, this propaganda, and we call it propaganda because of how it is being used as a weapon against us right now. And this dangerous, the Black music is right now, which is dangerous. When I say Black music, I mean Black music and how it's force-fed to the masses of our people by this music industry and their tools. We call them the radio stations around this country. And doing part one, I'll just go over a couple things that maybe we may have to repeat from part one, but I think they're still important to go over. And just that, I'll start with a Dr. Frances Cress Welsing quote, where she says that rap music has annihilated the self-respect of Black people. Annihilated it. It has annihilated. And if you just look at the sisters who've been pushed via rap music, actually over the last, or really via music, since this century turn, there's only been like 3 of them that up until like 4 or 5 years ago, there was only 3 of them that we ever heard. And they were, and we ask people the question, they always get them. I'm gonna ask you about the question right now, but they were Beyonce, Rihanna, and Nicki Minaj, just 3. Up until about 5 years ago when they gave us this sister named Cardi B, we call her Cardi B Gone. And she set a record by having, I think her first 4 singles being top 10. And I think those 4 were top 10 at the same time. And so that was not organic, that was manufactured. But then after Cardi B came into being, it was just an onslaught of female rappers and artists who degraded themselves and continue to degrade themselves. We're talking about like the City Girls and Megan Pete, what they call the stallion, which is a male horse. So I refuse to call her that, but Megan Pete. And then you get Doja Cat and so many others. But what's this other one's name? They got another one out of Texas. It's just horrible. But I mean, that's the only image that's pushed. And so the male rappers, the same thing, worse than the sisters. And there's so many of them. There's a plethora of the male rappers who push this poison on the masses of our people. And we see the results every day. Just today in Chicago, a 6-year-old was shot. We had, I think it was 6 people shot at a party over in Raleigh, Durham last night. And these numbers continue to just be crazy. Every year, every weekend, we wait. There was a song by Gangstar years ago, late Guru, called Tons of Guns. And one of the lines he said that the 5-0 just waits and counts the homicide numbers at the end of the week, I guess, or the end of the day. And that's what we're getting right now with the music. And so we got a project called Clear the Airways Project. And our goal is to get this violent, vulgar, kill Black people music, N-bomb dropping music off these radio stations that target our children and our youth. And one of the significant parts, the crazy parts about this, is it targets our children and our youth. And I'm trying to think if I don't know if we were here before, but it bears repeating again. I was just with a niece and nephew of mine, 8 and 10 years old, and we was in the ride. We were playing I was playing some Stevie Wonder. My little niece said, I like that. So she liked it at 10 years old. So I asked her who was her favorite artist. And she said it was Beyonce. And the 8-year-old repeated. He said his favorite artist was Beyonce. And he may have said it because she said it. How that goes. And actually, that's a good example of how we repeat what we hear. That's the popular things to say. He looks up to his bigger sister, and that's what she says. So possibly that's why he said it. I'm not sure if he even knows the Beyonce song, but we know that influence. And I know we discussed this. Beyonce new album Renaissance has a song in it where she uses the term spaz. And so she took that word out because it was offensive to people who have spasms at times, or people but people who have cerebral palsy or whatever, who have spasms. So I didn't mean any harm. I took it out. It's offensive to people. At the same time, we looked at the lyrics on the album, and she's dropping N-bombs on 3 songs on the album, one of them repeatedly. And that stays in there. It's the same thing happened with Michael Jackson years ago when he did the song "They Don't Really Care About Us" with Ill and Out Scratch. He said, "Jew me, sue me." He said, "Kick me, kite me." They made him take those albums back and take those words out. And Michael was made to apologize. Yet on that same album, Notorious Biggie Smalls was dropping N-bombs. My N, Mike. And I think he even talked about shooting the N in one of the songs on Michael Jackson's album. There was nobody made him take that out. We didn't make him take that out. We complained about it, but they did not take that out. And not too long ago, there's a rapper named 21 Savage. And 21 Savage he had this song called Bank Account years ago. He's the one that almost got deported back to England for some trouble he got in. And I think Jay-Z and others helped him stay here. But 21 Savage had a song called Bank Account. He had said in that song, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shooters ready to gun you down. Ready to gun you down. Ready to gun you down. They just played it repeatedly on the radio. He said, this Glock is cocked. I don't give no F about who I hit, is what he said. And they played this constantly on the radio in hot rotation, back to back to back, constantly on the radio. And so he was a star for all the young people know 21 Savage. So he made another song, on his next album. In this song, he talked about getting Jewish money. So he was made to apologize for that, saying getting Jewish money. Ironically, 21 Savage was paid close to $1 million to perform at a bar mitzvah in Florida. So, quote, basically he received Jewish money. And when he put that in his lyrics, he gets in trouble for it. And y'all know our biggest, tallest, most, acclaimed athlete right now is based right there in LA. His name is LeBron James. LeBron James was listening to this particular song from 21 Savage. I don't even think he was rapping. He was just listening to it. And guess what? He was made to apologize for listening to the song with Jewish money. He apologized. On the same song, 21 Savage talks about shooting the N in the stomach. No apology. No apology necessary for that. So this kind of thing continues. It's continuing with this Beyonce piece. What's his name? Whitlock out of Kansas City. I know he gets a lot of flack. He does say some reactionary stuff at times, but he did a piece on it recently. And really the piece is on point though, when it comes to this music and the damage that it's doing to our people. We just saw here in Chicago, and we put a lot of stuff, we blame a lot of stuff on this music because we know the importance of music. We know how music affects us. I just think about these songs that I hear today that were out 45, 40 years ago that I haven't heard in 20, 30 years, and already automatically the lyrics come right to me. I'm singing them, I'm rapping them. So we know the importance of music. And when we talk about even the process of, not the process of when people talk about baby making music, if this music, these slow jams can influence us to make love and to, be affectionate and have babies, or that's the kind of music you were born off of. It can also, and it has been, influencing us and encouraging us to take each other, to take a life, to bring a life here and also to take a life, just like we say, culture as a weapon for our liberation and culture as a weapon against us. And culture is so very important. And like I know we talked about last time, one of the aspects, one of the ways that we express our culture is via our music. And they even have albums out right now where they call them culture, and they talk about the culture and this being the culture. So we got to do something about this music. We mentioned iHeart, and I want to again bring up that we filed formal complaints against the iHeart station in the Chicago area called WGCI, and also the Crawford Broadcasting Station in the Chicago area called WPWX, or Power 92.3. Those are both two, again, European conglomerates stations, the only two stations in the Chicagoland area for a while that target young Africans are owned by European. That was up until like 2 years ago, I think, and now we got this Sambo African who owns the station now, he plays the same poison. As a matter of fact, he plays more of it because he has less commercials, because he hasn't really caught on yet. He has less commercials, so he's even inundating us with more and more of this ratchet killer music. And so, and as y'all know, Chicago is like the poster child still for this fratricide that's occurring in the United States, even though it's occurring all over the country. And even though Chicago's numbers compared to last year are a little bit down this year. But Chicago, when we get these reports of like last week, it was 45 people killed. I think, not killed, I'm sorry, I'm glad it's not that many. But 45 people shot, 7 were killed, including a 60-year-old honor student out there playing basketball in the Argyle Garden, shot in the chest and killed. One of our comrades, matter of fact, he was one of our comrades' cousin. And this is a sister who had the demonstration when the 15 people were shot at a funeral in Chicago a couple of years ago. 15 people were shot. And that was significant because Drake and what's his name? We call him, his name is Future, but we call him No Future. Drake and Future had this song called Life is Good, where he raps, I'm gonna pay somebody $20,000 in drug money to shoot up your hearse after I didn't murk you. This is a line in the song, a couple lines in the song that they're rapping, that by the way, got nominated for I believe an NAACP Image Award, an NAACP Image Award. I repeat, an NAACP Image Award. Songs about shooting up a funeral. And this stuff is just, there's so much to it that I can give so many examples. And I just want to share one other, and then I guess we can, we can talk about some other things. But the other example I wanted to share was concerning what took place in Texas, where the mama was going to her son's grave on the anniversary of his death, of his shooting and killing. and she was killed. This was happened just this past weekend, or maybe it was last week, but just recently. So she was killed, and she was killed by a guy who was the op. That was his op. The guy that he's already dead, already in the ground, been in the ground a year. Yeah, he still goes and takes the chance. I mean, takes the occasion to go kill his mama also. And so we had another song out. Have any of y'all, I don't know if you heard of Dej Loaf? Dej Loaf, and I mentioned the sisters who they got rapping, who really demean and degrade themselves. So Dej Loaf, sister out of Michigan, I believe Detroit, but she was a college student up in Upper Michigan, and she had a song called "Try Me." Let it end, try me, try me. I'm gonna get his whole MF and family was the chorus of the song. I'm a Nazi. I hate N. This is a sister calling herself a Nazi, saying that she hate N. And she was invited to the Essence Fest to perform at the Essence Fest. This is how pervasive this has become, how it's gotten into how bad it's gotten to our community. Our homeboy from LA, D.L. Hughley, came up here to Chicago State several years ago. And so he started working at Crawford. He does a radio show now, but they had a show on the Crawford station for a while. So he came to speak at Chicago State, and Crawford brought him all that. Crawford, again, they own a killer radio station called Power 92.3. And so we went to that program, and D.L. Hughley and I went to school together. We went to Gardena at the same time. Matter of fact, he's married to one of my homegirls, one of my classmates, Sister LaDonna. So we talked during the question and answer period. We brought up Crawford, we brought up the music, and asked what DL's opinion on it. And we, of course, let him know about our project and get that crap off the air. But one of the main things he said was that horse is out the barn. He said that horse is out, and that was it, pretty much. He may have said a little something else, but that horse was out the barn. And we said, of course, that horse is out the barn. But what are we going to do? Let it stay out the barn and keep on affecting and infecting more and more of our people? Or are we going to corral that horse and put it back in that barn and secure that barn? Or are we going to off that horse? Or are we going to take it out of our misery? So, and that's pretty much the situation that we're in right now. We've been working so much with different organizations like CEN, which is committed to eliminate media offensive to African people. The National Black Leadership Alliance, based in New York, but really in Detroit and other cities throughout the country, under the leadership of Brother Bob Law from Night Talk. And Bob has long been an advocate for responsibility in the music, revolutionary, really Black activist for 50 years now, but really a long-time DJ. And he knows and shares this importance of the music and how this music affects us. So Bob has been very, really a strong comrade in this movement. So it's an ongoing struggle. And plus, I got to say, Dr. Ife Williams, I guess she used to live in LA too, but Dr. Williams, she took the place of C. Dolores Tucker with the National Congress of Black Women. And if we're not, we should be familiar with the work that C. Dolores Tucker put in concerning this music years ago. We have this campaign that we had, and it's on our Facebook page. It's like our cover photo where we talk about Kodak Black and Rick Ross are wrong. Black women are not B's and H's. And we had a program. Matter of fact, it was at Haki Madhubuti School over in Chicago. Bob came to town, and we had these big banners and posters, and we put them up, and we said that that was on the piece. So they're wrong. Those two rappers are wrong. Our women are not B's and H's. And when I think about it, it was so embarrassing that we have to even have a poster that says that we have to put up. And one of the things we shared was that if we had listened to C. Dolores Tucker 25 years ago, 30 years ago, instead of ridiculing her, we would have to have nothing embarrassing like this up in 2000. I think that was 2018 when we had that forum, maybe 17. We would have to have this up. So, I mean, there it is. I think some of the things that we can do is definitely monitor the music that our children listen to. We filed complaints with the FCC, like we said earlier. The FCC took almost a year for our Power 92.3 complaint to dismiss it. and rule in favor of them to continue pushing that poison on the masses of our people. It took over a year for them to okay what the No Heart station is doing, the iHeart station is doing, and they're still pushing that poison amongst our people. It took over a year for them to make that decision. That's the Federal Communications Commission. When our people talk about bringing in the feds to deal with the Chicago violence issue, we brought them in on that level, the Federal Communications Commission, and they sided with those who are pushing that poisonous, violent, ignorant propaganda on the masses of our people. So, I mean, there it is. We just gotta put in that work to make some changes in this music. We have to have a change in this music. Check out our surveys. We got a survey called the SAD. No, what is it? The state of Black music. Sad, embarrassing, and dangerous state of Black music. And it's a state of Black music survey is what they are. You can find them on YouTube. And so we go around and we talk to people and ask people these questions and all that. And matter of fact, before we go, if I might bring one up, I took the survey with the sister in New Orleans just recently. And if I can, I don't know if I can share it. I'm trying to think if I can share it. I may not be able to share it, but maybe we'll share it at a later date. But yeah, these are the surveys that we've been taking with people from New York to San Diego, from Tampa to Portland, and everywhere in between, dealing with this the state of Black music, current state of Black music, and how it's sad. It's really unbelievable. It's unbelievable that it's so horrible, and it's unbelievable that we have not stopped it yet. So.
Okay, well, you know, that's very interesting, and I think it's really obvious, and we talk about it all the time, that we're behind, especially Brother Henry, we're behind enemy lines. And so that enemy is allowing us to do things to ourselves, you know, and they're going to promote anything that's negative. So it's ridiculous. But what I want to do is I want to go around the panel and ask them, do they have any comments about the music or if they have a question for you. So I'm gonna go around the panel. I'm gonna start with the women first. Sister Linda.
Oh, yes, I'm here. I don't have any real questions right now because I'm just listening and learning this evening. The
Okay.
only one question I do want to ask the brother. He mentioned at the beginning the women rappers. What do you think about Queen Latifah? Wasn't she one of the original rappers? And did she come out? I know she kind of crazy now, but her first rap song.
Yeah, she came out early on and was with the Flavor Unit, but we love Unity. UNITY was a great song that she made. And she made some good songs, and but then she kind of like wanted to just play too hard. I don't know, but yeah, but you're right. She's kind of, you know, but she still never came forth with that really ratchet music. She had some songs that were kind of ratchet, but overall, in terms of her music, yeah, she gets respect, definitely.
Yeah, I had went to a concert to see Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers, and she was on the bill with them, and she did a great job, you know, and music was really good. Okay, Sister Make It Happen. Thanks, Linda.
Greetings, Hotep family. How's everyone doing?
Greetings, Dr. Shabazz.
Greetings. So I did get on a little late, but of course I am kind of aware of the topic. And one of the questions that I did have for the brother was, he mentioned an organization that Dolores, I think that was her name. And I wondered if he could repeat that information.
Yeah, her name is C. Dolores Tucker, and the organization is the National Congress of Black Women. And it was founded by Shirley Chisholm was his first leader. It only had 3 so far, and the current one is Dr. E. Faye Williams. And Dr. Williams, she works with us also on this project. Matter of fact, we had a Respect Us campaign that she worked with us on, and the National Black Leadership Alliance. That's when we went to New York, and Charles Barron's wife at the time, Inez Barron, was on the city council, and she introduced a resolution calling on the FCC to take action on the killer radio stations in the largest city in the country, New York City, And that resolution again was introduced in 2019, maybe 18. So it's been sitting there for 3 years. It's just sitting there. And it's just so sad. We've reached out, we sent letters to them, each and every council member. We did that along with CEMOTAP and a group called Educate to Empower out of Chicago, out of New York, and the National Black Leadership Alliance. We sent them these letters, each and every congressman, asking them to please do this. Y'all were talking about this increase in violence in New York. Well, here's the example. This is one of the reasons why, but they have not acted on it yet. So we need to put pressure. Or matter of fact, we were on a call with some brothers and sisters from New York. They were asking what they could do, and that's what we said. Put pressure on your city councilman to bring this resolution up, and let's hear this resolution. Let's pass it.
And what was the resolution again?
It was a resolution condemning the ratchet killer radio stations in New York,
Yeah.
Hot 97 and Hot 97 and Power 95. And one of them it emanates the Breakfast Club. And so an example of what we're talking about is that the Breakfast Club, Memorial Day of 2021, they do their top songs. And we hear them in Chicago, all over the country. And their number one song on that Memorial Day weekend was a song called Back in Blood. In the chorus of Black in Blood, they say, I ain't got nowhere to go. I done shot up everywhere they was. That's in the chorus of the song. It was the number one song in the country Memorial Day weekend, according to the Breakfast Club, that they played on Memorial Day weekend that Saturday morning when they do their top countdown. And as they were going off the air, they count them down to that number one. And after that, after they played that song, they had the audacity and the nerve to say, have a safe Memorial Day weekend.
Wow.
And what happened on that Memorial Day weekend, even take it further, the main rapper of that song, his name is Pooh Shiesty, who's in jail right now because that weekend he shot somebody at a strip club in Florida, and he's in jail. And not in jail doing a sentence because of the security guard that he shot in the leg that night. He's in jail because he shot somebody in the back during a drug deal that took place a year before in Florida. That's on video. But that's how he got arrested, because that Memorial Day weekend, he did shoots. He shot up, I guess everywhere they was in the strip club that night. And so he's in jail for that. And his cohort on that song is a rapper named Lil Durk. Lil Durk is out of Chicago. He's part of the one of them drill rappers. That same weekend at a strip club near Chicago, his brother was shot in the head and killed.
Wow.
And then on radio, the number one song in the country that week was I Ain't Got Nowhere to Go. I'd shot up everywhere they was. That was, of course, the number one song in the country that weekend, called Back in Blood.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the work you're doing.
Okay, you're welcome. That was a little bit more than what you asked, but
Oh, that was perfect. No, I appreciate it. I value your passion and everything you're doing. Again, I'm an educator. I'm here in the community and want to be able to help with the toxic music and things that affected the mental health issue of our community.
Right on.
Okay, thanks a lot. All right, brother doctor.
Yeah. You said earlier, like I'm not familiar with none of this music. I don't listen to it anymore. But you said Beyonce came out with something, and I saw the little YouTube clips, but I never clicked it on. What was it again? She did or said in her music they made her take it off.
She said spaz.
And what is that?
You know the term when people say somebody spaz out. Have you heard that before?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Spasms, like spasms. Yeah. Okay.
That's what it's short for. And so that's saying somebody spaz or spazzes out.
Okay. Now let me ask you. Okay, how long did it take for them to get her to change that?
Oh, she changed it right away. It didn't take no time at all.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: how long have you been doing this to try to get it stopped? Changed the
I was in college, Southern University, and I did a column called The Weekly Wrap Up. Matter of fact, same title as my radio show. It was a music column. We did the top 10 songs, and we started then. And that was before Celie. I think even
how many years ago was that?
That's like 31 years before C. Dolores Tucker. Now the organization I'm part of, Clear the Airways Project, we didn't start until 2013. Whenever Barack Obama was inaugurated, second term, that's when.
Okay, so if they can get Beyonce to do it right away, and you've been doing this for years, either you're doing something wrong, you don't know what you're doing, or it's never going to change.
Okay.
So something's wrong there. If they can get that done in a few days or whatever, and you've been doing this for years and nothing's changed, you know, that's all I got to say about that.
Let me tell you what's wrong.
Okay. Let me ask you: is there any other, I don't know how you say it, ethnic groups or any non-black groups involved with you to help you or backing you, agreeing with you?
You know,
to make this change?
One of the things, yeah, we've had Europeans out protesting with us, and matter of fact, there's a guy called White Mike. And
do they have power? Do they have power and money?
Well, let me answer the question.
Go ahead.
So White Mike has a piece called "The Normalization: Why Is Black Murder Normalized?" And I would ask you to check it out because it was a really powerful piece, and he has a lot of people send it to us all the time. He talked about the same thing. So we know what we're up against. I was doing a presentation one day at Purdue University, and the sister said almost the same thing you just said. He said, Kwabena, I don't think you're gonna change this. I don't think there's nothing you can do to change this. And you're not gonna be able to change it. And I was like, you're absolutely correct. I will not be able to change it. I won't. If I was able to change, I would have did it a long time ago. It's gonna take we. That's why we do this. We reach out to others. We know what we're up against. We're up against a conglomerate. We're up against a system. We get up against a beast that want to kill us. You know, they want our genocide. So we're not fooled by that. And you're right. There's some things that we've done wrong, some things we've done right, some things that we know that if more people came with us, and we could stop this overnight. And we talk about that all the time. And so we struggle to get that. We struggle to do that. And it ain't just, and of course, if it's all about just one person, in this case, it ain't gonna happen. That's why we stay on CEMOTAP to work with us on this. CEMOTAP's name is the Committee to Eliminate Media Offensive to African People. That's their name. Me and Brother McIntosh, we talk about this all the time, bro. We need more of you all to work on this. And the Grand Clegg, they need to work on it more. That's your name. It's like with him saying, when I said Michael said, "Jew me, sue me," I mean, right away, their Anti-Defamation League or the Jewish, whatever they call, jump right on that. And so we need more. And I'm not just putting on our brother Clegg and Brother McIntosh because they do good work, but they need help too. So we need help. We need assistance in this. And whether I'm doing something wrong or we're doing something wrong or who we're up against, we got to understand that this stuff, like y'all don't even know this music. This stuff, they're attacking our children with this stuff. We know the influence of music when we were young and all that, but they're on our children with this. And like Coach Powell said, he wrote 40 ounces, the 40-ounce scandal about that malt liquor. He states how our children are children. They can't fend for themselves. They can't fend for themselves. They require us to protect them. And they went to the juggernaut, y'all. They went to our children. They got us separated with this music because we don't want to hear that crap because most of it sounds so horrible. But our children are bewildered by it. So regardless of if we're doing something wrong or you think we're going to keep fighting it. But that's why we reach out. We need help.
Well, like I said, don't get me wrong now. Yeah, I mean, you fight, you can make the change. You can get it done. Just the ways you've been doing lately, slow process, just not working. You keep trying different things. And just one thing. Now in the music, because like I said, I remember you from last time now, because you mentioned, I can't remember what the other song is. Some guy, you told me who it was, and I forgot to look the guy up on YouTube. But the lyrics they're saying, it's common lyrics, common words, common phrases in the community, right? So,
go ahead.
So saying it over the air and making music off of it, what's the difference just saying it in the neighborhood and not making money off of it?
The difference is
part of the words, everything is part of the culture, and they're just basically rehashing what's in the neighborhood. So the change would be to attack the music industry instead of the stuff in the neighborhood, right?
Oh, not instead. No, we definitely struggle. We definitely struggle with issues that are going on in our community that are adversely affecting the masses of our people. But we just like they say, life imitates art.
Correct.
Art, they say art imitate life, but
Right.
that goes both ways. So no, so that's that. You know, no, we gotta deal with all of it.
So
And now what Clear the Airways Project does is we're dealing with that mass media propaganda. I was looking for that quote from Garvey that we just talked about, but that mass media propaganda that Malcolm talked about, and we mentioned that earlier in '62, back when Ronald Stokes was killed. Malcolm broke it down there, and it's like they use the media to demonize us. And so, yeah, they may talk about some of these things in the neighborhood, and these brothers are so creative in so many ways. They come up with all kind of crazy anomalies and synonyms and stuff. Matter of fact, one of the things that the FCC wrote in their response to us when they dismissed our cases against both of those killer radio stations was that these double entendres, that some of these lyrics that they use, and which is really just stupid. They tried to, if it's a double entendre, one of the meanings may be something that's not offensive and dangerous, but if the other one still means talks about raping somebody or killing somebody, it's still that. You just got two meanings. It's still against your regulations. So yeah, it's the mass media piece that they push it to so many people and so many people at one time. One time we were listening to the song, because people always bring up people don't listen to the radio as much as we know it's obvious. But I was listening to the song, monitoring the radio station. I can't think of what the name of the song was. Maybe it was a song about Cry Baby. There's a song by DaBaby and Megan Pete called Cry Baby. I asked you to look that song up. Cry Baby, DaBaby, and Megan, they call it Megan Thee Stallion. It is a song done in a toy store where she's humping everything and he's talking about screwing and effing everything. And this is a song they were playing on the radio in hot rotation constantly. Look it up, Cry Baby.
What? Cry Baby?
Cry Baby by Megan Thee Stallion, they call her, and DaBaby. And so when you so I heard it, I was monitoring, I heard it in my car. And so when I got out the car to go into the store, there was a sister driving by, the same song was on. And so that made me think, we already know. So when mass media is playing it and it's going around all these different the same radio station at the same time, all around the city of LA or Chicago, everybody's hearing this stuff at the same time and they playing it in a hot rotation. And real quick on DaBaby, and this is something we just checked out too recently. DaBaby is another artist who was nominated for so many Grammys, making songs about, I'll put 20K on your head and have your partners come kill you. I'm pissing a cup. She do whatever I say. I'm pissing a cup and tell her it's lemonade. This is all the stuff they play on the radio for our children. And so DaBaby at a concert recently, at one of those minstrel fests that they perform at, between songs, he slipped up and said that there was two Fs or gay guy, whatever he said, but they were in the car S-ing each other's D. And he said something else about them catching AIDS. And so he, not only was he made to apologize for that, that was a year ago. You rarely hear DaBaby on the radio no more. So they gradually, he apologized, you don't hardly hear him no more. And they would play his stuff, his Poison. You would hear him 4 or 5 times an hour on the radio. I don't care if I was in Baltimore, Chicago, St. Louis, they were always playing DaBaby. And he was always talking about shooting ends, running up on ends, shooting them, and all this crap. But since he said that about homosexuals, hardly rarely hear him anymore. So yeah, what we doing maybe, yeah. So I'm just telling you.
Last question.
Okay.
How worse can it get? How far? Because like I said, I'm not into music explicit. In your opinion, can it get any worse than it is now with the lyrics?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you, man, that's a good question because I'm amazed sometimes when I hear a song, like when I heard Bad and Bougie, I said it can't get no worse than that. Then I hear Rockstar by DaBaby. He said his 2-year-old, the G, she saw him kill it in at the age of 2. I said, wow, can't get no worse than that. Then I hear Throat Babies. There's a song out called Throat Babies. And I just heard it the other day on the radio. It was #1 song in the country a little over a year, about a year and a half ago, but they still play these songs in recurrent rotation. And I heard Throat Babies. Sexy little B, sexy little H, can a young N come play in your throat babies? So it
wait. What do you mean babies like what? Like wait. You talking like infants, babies like
no,
2-3-year-old babies or what? I don't understand that.
Exactly. So I mean that's what I'm saying. So what the children do, he's ejaculating in her mouth. So he's giving her throat baby. His semen is in her mouth. And that was the #1 song in the country for our children. This is what they're doing to us, bro. Look at the video. Look at the video. Look at the video for Throat Babies. I'm telling you. And I thought when I first heard the song, I thought they were saying something else. Throat babies, throat babies. That's the chorus. Says a little, can young ink come play in your throat? Throat babies, throat. I'm like, what? I first heard it in Birmingham, traveled to Birmingham. Then I heard it in St. Louis, and then the next thing I know, it's #1 song in the country for African children, for our children. This is how crazy this crap is. If we don't stop, it's gonna get worse.
Sick. It's when you bring it, because I don't listen to this music either, because it doesn't have good sound. It's technical music with these, I can't even listen to that. But by you bringing this information to us, it's sickening, and I'm glad that you're able to bring this to the light, and some people, more people will get on the on the track of trying to get rid of this stuff, because it's ridiculous. Okay, bro.
This is that I know we got to roll, but it's just that African Liberation Day one day in Chicago. We spoke on it, and when I came down, she said, "Look, brother, said you got to chill on all that listening to this crap." And I took heed to what she said, and I don't even call it listen no more. I say I monitor, and I cut down on it, because you're right, it can affect you. It can affect you, man.
Sickening. Okay, Brother Hembrick.
Yes, sir.
Question, comment?
Well, it's just a form of psychological warfare, and the people that his organization is trying to get to take it off the air, they run mass media. They own it, they run it. And so, the likelihood of them backing down is slim and none, because of the effects that they wanted to have. And, you mentioned like Garvey in the beginning, and I just like to say that book that you were thinking about by Tony Martin is called Race First. That's the name of the book. Where, all the propaganda was used against Garvey, namely, one of the biggest perpetrators that was used was W.B. Du Bois, who apologized, years later about what went down. And as far as the NAACP goes, it started by 6 Jews, and they had 2 brothers, Trotter and W.B. So Du Bois on that. So we can call it a black organization, but white folks started. But anyway, let me keep it moving on this rap thing. I'm not into rap and all of that, but I did listen to a brother by the name of David Banner, who seemed like he really got some serious rap going on that all of our people need to hear, just not kids. But let me say this in ending, with all of these musical geniuses that we have that's out there making all these money, why can't they start a radio show to do their own? Because if we're going to get anything from Garvey disassociated itself from all of these other values and started their own. So in order for us to get to our own kids, we need our own. Only black radio station I ever heard of was the one Stevie Wonder owned. I don't even know if he owns that anymore. But until you own your own and control your own, then all these efforts are going to the man trying to get him to comply. It ain't gonna happen. He ain't gonna do it. So
I disagree with that, bro. They'll stop it if we make them. We just have to make them, and we're gonna make them. We have to. I mean, how can we continue to allow them to push this on our children?
Well, why can't we have our own station for our children to listen to?
I mean, even if we do, I mean, this is because we get that a lot, and even with some of the organizations I work with, they said we got to provide the alternative. We got an example. We do a conscious hip hop show every Friday night. There's only one night a week. We've been doing it for 23 years. But here's the example we gave. If I came into my house and my children were at home and somebody was attacking my children, and do I say, oh man, what I got to do now is go buy more locks or make it a way where I can get cameras in the house? I mean, these are things that we got to do, right? But the first thing I'm gonna do is get them beasts off my children. That's the first thing I'm gonna do. And so that's what we got to get these beasts off our children right now. We got to get them off of them. And then and nothing against owning our own. I think Willie Davis had K-Ace and there's others, I want to shout out brother Willie Davis. I remember because K-Ace was the station I listened to coming up more so than that Stevie station. Because anyway, let me leave that. That's just a side note because that was a brother from the Packers who had that station. But we gotta I sorry, regress on that. But no, we got to get them beasts off our children right now. And we can, and we will. But we have to organize properly to do it. And like the brother said, we've been making some mistakes, making some big missteps. But we've been trying. We've been trying, and we're gonna continue to try. And if y'all got any suggestions, anybody got any suggestions, man, we need some help. We got to get them off our babies. When we have all these people dying, 250 rappers died in 2021, 200 of them from gun violence. Y'all just put a star for Nipsey. He was in the count in 2019. So it's just crazy, bro. And what promotes it and what pushes is the main thing that pushes us is this music today.
Yeah. Okay. Brother Ra, Professor Ra.
Yeah. First of all, Brother Kwabena, I just want to say asante for being here, brother. And want to compliment you for your efforts and the brothers and the people working with you to bring this awareness and this consciousness. And also compliment you for doing the study, keeping up with what's the airwaves is doing to our children and doing to our adults and doing to the general public also. And so I really appreciate your work. I know the primary work is our people, but when it's in the air, it's in the air. And my point is, it's just hard work, like you say, and you don't give up. It's a movement. You're part of a movement to raise the consciousness and the efforts of those that can support you either monetarily, if they don't want to get out there and meet, or write letters or complaints to radio stations and producers and writers of this music, as far as that, and initiate boycotts. We've been dealing with this issue going all the way back to the comedians using the N-word. We go all the way back to the comedians and using profanity. We used to have to listen to them records behind our parents' back, Red Fox and Rudy Ray Moore, our parents would, you snuck and listened to it. You got kids now and youth and young adults listening to it and playing it up and down the street on the radio, blasting it. It's not just for them. They want the whole world to hear what they're listening to. And so, and then you got internet, YouTube, you can pull up any record you want, and the kids got earphones or headphones, and you don't know what your kids are listening to, or you don't know what your husband or your wife is listening to, or your daughters. You just don't know. So it is an issue that we need to address. But some of the remedies, like CAVE, Coalition Against Black Exploitation, CAVE, Coalition Against Black Exploitation, that LeGrand them had. We marched on radio stations and we tried to move boycotts. The resistance came mainly from two sources. Our people. They said, we're free. We can do what we want to do. Listen, you can't tell me what I can listen to. That was a challenge that we fought in LA. And, when Too Short was out here and Luke, and Lil Luke or whatever they called him, and they were doing pornography, these videos.
Two live. The two
yeah.
live.
Yeah, the Two Live Crew, and then they were doing all these videos on BET. You turn there and they're in a hot tub with 6 women drinking 40s and shaking them and spreading them on the women. And so we've been fighting this a long time as far as trying to raise people's consciousness. And like you said, Dolores Tucker, in her efforts, she was vilified by a lot of Black people. You know, because the Jewish monopoly on record production behind the scenes pushes it so hard, they make millionaires out of these people. You know what I mean? They have Snoop on top of VIP Records in Long Beach, wearing everything you tell your kids not to wear, game clothes, and doing the crip walk. But he's a multimillionaire. So what does that do? That makes the kids think that if he can come from Long Beach Power, don't even go to college, and just make up a bunch of lyrics about street life or fantasy street life or what he sees, it's and become millionaires. It's just like when we was coming up, we thought sports was our vehicle to and singing groups was our vehicle to money. These kids think rapping is their vehicle. It's a vocation to them. I mean, they be sitting there writing lyrics. When the Brother Rapper's Delight came out, kids could remember that song, but couldn't remember their homework. You understand? They knew the song. All that. And,
Look, the whole 15-minute song from stop to stop.
And I you know, because I taught Black people in the mass media. Whew, man, and then the movies changed, you know, where, you know, just straight out sex on the movie. Now, this push for gays and things of this nature on the movie. What you do in your bedroom should be private. I ain't saying heterosexual movies are good, you understand? But I am saying that should be a sacred act because it's about reproduction. Not just about the thrill of the zone, but you know, there's so many songs. Free the Pain, Bring the Boys Home. They made them take that record off during the Vietnam War. That's right, Free the Pain. Joe Hendrick should know about that. Edwin Starr, War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. They made them take it off the air.
Wow.
During the Watts Rebellion, Montague, way before the Watts revolt, used to play fast records, rock, Black music on, I think it was just KHJ at that time, or KJH or something.
What happened to KGFJ?
No, that's Stevie.
No, not KGLH.
No, KGFJ, that was it. Yeah. You know, Montague used to say, burn, burn, burn. He was saying that way before the rebellion. A couple of people during the rebellion said, burn, burn, burn. They took him off the air. You understand? Said that he was inciting riot. So you're right, they can do it. And you go after these sponsors and you go after these record producers and things of this nature. But the key crisis, as Dr. Karenga always said, is a culture crisis. If Muslims could walk around and don't eat pork, you know, I mean, because that's their religion and that's their cultural practice, not to eat pork. We can train our kids not to listen to that music and not to buy it. But you got to monitor and supervise. You got to demonize that music. Right now, they're glorifying. Half the women singers, I ain't talking about rappers, they're on the stage half naked. Half the brothers come out there with no shirt on. You understand? I mean, you know, I mean, if your kid would leave the door and you're a father and you go outside without a shirt on, you say, man, get back in there and put a shirt on. Even with his sisters around, you put your shirt on. You understand? That's supervision, you see? Now, once they get 18, if they want to break away from what you taught them, ain't nothing you can do. They run their house. But in your house, as a parent, or guardian, or foster parent, you got to have rules. And you can't, you know, Tupac got pop. 26 years old. I like Biggie because he was smooth, you understand? I like the way he moved and stuff like that. He got popped. I don't care if the police did it, whoever did it. You know, that ain't the point. But they were singing about these lifestyles. Even Tupac had some good lyrics at times, though, about his mother and about some other stuff, some conscious stuff. But at the same time, we need brothers like you. That's my point. Because there's so many movements, and this is a critical movement to raise the consciousness of the lyrics that you just explained to us. It should be criminal. It should be criminal for anybody to produce that. And they used to criminalize it when we was coming up. You know, they had ethics in the airways. They wouldn't play certain songs with profanity or sexual tendency. Then come Teddy, close the door, put some high oil on me, baby. Then you have, you know, other artists move more towards sexual things, you know, you know.
I know.
But you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work, brother. You understand? Because I know struggle. We would still be in slavery if people didn't continually work. That's why it took a couple of 100 years before we could get out of it. You understand? And so, yeah, and training other brothers to continue to struggle. That's just, it's just like that because we don't have the resources. We can't punish or reward people. They can punish you or reward. The brother on the station the other night, as long as you had sexual magazines in your cell when you was in jail, that's okay. But if you had a book on Black consciousness or Black culture, that's contraband, out. So you're right, it's a struggle continues, and we need brothers like you to do the work to educate people because, you know, we teach our kids and they can go out and see the harmful effect of this music on our children, but most of all on our young adults, you see. And don't think white folks don't listen to it too. And you remember that time the white boy used to bite the chicken head off on stage, and they called it metal rock, hard metal or something, I don't know. They were talking crazy suicide, you know, and they made them take that stuff off.
Man, look, there was a report that showed how like in the mid 80s, they were still doing a lot of that crap. And they had they made them stop it, and they just pushed it over towards us because it was like that was still golden age hip hop, and they pushed it over towards us. That's a good point. Alice Cooper and all that crazy stuff they was doing. Yeah, right on, man. We appreciate you, brother. And it's you know, it's a struggle, like you said, but we can win, and we gonna win. Hey, I don't know if I found that Garvey quote too.
Okay, I have something I want to share too about Garvey.
Okay.
So, but you wanna tell us that quote?
Yeah, because I had it up, and as soon as I said I had it, I moved my computer.
Okay, while you're looking for it, I'm gonna go ahead and share this quote by Garvey. It says, "A people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." Yeah, good old Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Got a lot of good sayings, you know, Africa for Africans.
Hey, let me just say something. I just saw that. I just watched those videos, man. The toy one and the throat one. I guess the throat one has a new remix out now, man.
Yeah, they got two videos now.
Okay. Okay, man. It was just like Roger said, man. You got the females in there participating with it. I like the beat. The beat was nice. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna be honest, it's okay, man. It's nothing that I'll go listen to. I, you know what, man,
But you a grown man.
I'm a grown man.
They put that on our children.
Hey, that's how we are today, man. I can see everything. I'm listening to the words. I'm listening to it, and it's explicit, not edited. Interesting, man. Interesting that we're in this time that can play on the air. I really didn't find nothing offensive about it. It's very sexual, very, very sexual. Nothing I can say, man. I mean, it's nothing I listen to, but I don't.
So would you be okay with your 10, 11, 12-year-old, 13 or 14, 15-year-old listening to that and ingesting all that constantly?
You know what, man? I'm gonna say this. Depends on how you raise your kids, man. How you are as a parent.
Okay,
What you instill in them.
Let's move to let's move to Marcus Garvey, folks.
Okay.
Let's transition out of there. Okay,
And here's that quote, if I can share too.
go
It
ahead.
says, "We of the Negro race are suffering more than any other race in the world from propaganda. Propaganda to destroy our hopes, our ambitions, and our confidence in self. Propaganda has done more to defeat the good intentions of races and nations than even open warfare." Quotes from Marcus Garvey.
Yeah. Now, if they got your mind, they got you. Go ahead, Rob.
Marcus Garvey was probably one of the greatest leaders of his time, and even to a certain degree our time. He organized over 3,000 people without radio and TV. He was a journalist. He put out magazines in Spanish and in English. He came over here at the invite of Booker T. Washington. Booker T. died when he got here. He organized the women that was like nurses, and he organized brothers like soldiers. And the Nation of Islam really modeled after him. That's who modeled. That's where Malcolm got most of his consciousness from, as far as building businesses. I mean, let's say Garvey in New York created over 1,100 jobs for Black people. I mean, this brother was deep. And then, as you were saying, Rasuli, they infiltrated him, Edgar J. Hoover, them, as Kwabena was saying, and they turned one of his people in. And they arrested him over a $25 donation and gave him a case of wire fraud. Found him guilty, then deported him because of public outcry and other people, because that was insane what they did to Garvey. They don't teach Garvey in public schools. And this is way before that's critical racist theory. I mean, as the good doctor was saying, they never taught him about Marcus Garvey. And these were Black teachers. Many of them didn't know, because many of them were taught by white teachers. And that's what Kwabena, the Institute of Positive Education by Hakeem Mahmoud in Chicago would always say, never send your kids to be taught by people that don't love them. And Garvey was just our tower. He's the one that taught Black people to dress up. I mean, to dress up, that's where the nation get all that stuff about the bow tie and wearing the suit. It was Garvey. Garvey set that standard. He had a lot of squabbles with Booker T. Washington, because Garvey didn't trust light Black people. He felt that they were subject to just leaning toward white people.
Now, hold up, Professor Rod. You said, what did you mean W.E.B. Du Bois, not Booker T, that he squabbled with?
Yeah. He squabbled with
not Booker T, right?
Du Bois.
Okay.
And Dr. Ben wrote a book about it, and got a whole bunch of information on how they were calling each other names and things of this nature. But the point is, Garvey I mean, but he still, you can't take away from his legacy. We tried to get Obama to give him a full pardon. We also tried to got a petition to get his conviction set aside. Dr. Shabaka out of New York and some other brothers and sisters are trying, we tried to get 100,000 signatures. And that meant that the president had to read it or look at it. But anyway, Garvey is always a hero and one of our main Pan-Africanists and Black nationalists. That's all I have to say.
All right. Kwabena, you want to talk about Garvey a little bit?
Man, I mean, Professor Ra, I mean, you know, as he always get new gems and stuff, when we talk about this brother and what he did and this effect that he had on us and influence of these other organizations and other groups, you know, we talk about Malcolm. Malcolm Daddy was a big time, you know, proponent and, you know, in Omaha working with UNIA. He came over here near where I live in a place called Indiana Harbor, which is now East Chicago, and started a chapter here, Milwaukee, you know, up there in Michigan, where he, you know, where he eventually was killed. And, you know, who was this? He mentioned Elijah Muhammad, you know, was a Garveyite. I think maybe even Noble Jew Ali or some of these other leaders too, who you know, who got their start with Marcus Garvey. I got this book I was looking at called The Foot Soldiers of the UNIA. I found it was pretty interesting. I was checking it out, and I heard of this brother before. I heard his name. It's Charles Lionel James. He was from Antigua, and he moved to the U.S. in 1922 and went to New York, where his brother George was, and he became a Garveyite pretty much right away. He spent $250 worth of shares in the Black Star Line. And I found it, I was just reading it in 1928, and I think Garvey was still locked up or already got deported by then. But he was sent to Gary. So he was right. I'm reading this book and right now, he was sent to Gary. And one of the brothers I met here, Brother Jihad Muhammad, who's now an ancestor, he would always talk about how his people were part of the UNIA at 2128 Washington Street in Gary, Indiana, the Liberty Hall spot. And so I just reading that, I'm gonna have to ride by there probably tomorrow and see where that was. And this, he said later on, he said, while in Gary, I was adopted by John Amos's family. They were the grandparents of John Amos, who was a famous movie star. They lived in Gary at the time. And so I'm like, wow. So we see here John Amos's people were, I didn't know they were from Gary, but they were from Gary. And they were, Hattie Sears was a strong member of the UNIA and president of the Gary branch, also adopted me as her son. And he was all over everywhere. That Race First talks about, again, how he had so many branches and chapters. And I know Louisiana had the most, I think they had the most chapters or the most branches, and they were all in Africa. And like Professor Ross said, and the good work they were doing, and how they still influence the people today. And I think you may have said with 3 million. Can you imagine 3 million people in your organization in the 20s? 3 million.
I think you said 3,000, Ron. How many did you say?
I'm not sure. I know it was a bunch.
Joe,
Joe, you know?
Yeah, it was more like 3 million. I was gonna correct you on that
Okay.
number.
That's in Race First. Race First talked about the number. I think Tony Martin did. But yeah, it's like, and it's just crazy. And it's again, they had to get rid of him, had to do that to him. And then the whole situation with Du Bois. I mean, I'm part of a book club, and we recently read some of his speeches. It really talked about speeches at their meetings, at their mass meetings, and it covered the part about meeting with the KKK. And he got a lot of flack for that. And it was interesting because just finished this book on Malcolm that I recommend. Man, this book on Malcolm called "The Dead Are Arising" by Les Payne.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm reading. That's one that I'm currently reading. Yes.
And they got the long chapter. It was a long chapter, but about the KKK. I mean, that was crazy too. But man, much respect to Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We got a Garvey Fest happening out here this coming weekend. We're doing our Black August program on Saturday, so I won't be able to go Saturday, but fortunately it's a 2-day program. It's in a place called Pembroke where they got farms out near Chicago. So we're gonna try to get out there on Sunday. And we used to do a Garvey Fest here in Gary. Really, it was a really nice program. But yeah, long live the spirit and the work and it continues of Marcus Garvey. I mean, he knows Africa is it. This is the primacy of Africa
Right.
is so very important. So yeah.
Okay, Brother Hendrick.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention, that the brother was a master printer, at a young age, printing out publications and whatnot. And he came to visit, Booker T. Washington, like the brother said, but he died before he got here. And he had to come to grips with using the word Negro. He wanted to use African, but the African Americans in America, he thought weren't quite ready for it at that time. And let me say this, that those brothers that were mentioned that had their roots in the Caribbean and South America, most of the brothers and sisters who came to America and made a serious impact, that's where their roots come from. Especially Malcolm's mama from down there. And that's another reason why they really don't want no Haitians in this country. Because the slave rebellions down there, they was throwing down there. And it was really hard for those, for Europeans to deal with them. That's another reason why they don't like that spirit here in the United States of America. And let me say that, the Black Star Line was exceptional. I think they infiltrated that with propaganda and kind of bought off those captains that sabotaged the ships and what have you. They had 3 ships that were trading goods, and those old Negroes in Liberia allowed Firestone Rubber, to undo the whole thing, because Garvey had sent surveyors, equipment, timber, and all that to build these factories and whatnot, and they wouldn't even let them get the stuff off the boat. And that was a result of Firestone, a rubber company. Firestone Tires kind of bought out the government, like a lot of the governments there even today are bought out. But let me say this: when the Garvey movement was over and all of that, and he went back to Jamaica, he couldn't even get voted governor of Jamaica, which is sad, because white folks run in Jamaica also. Just like the brother mentioned, I guess a couple of months ago about being in Africa. The poet talked about how the Europeans and white folks and Asians owned all the stores and all of that. Well, that's the same thing in Jamaica. Same thing. Wherever we are, we ain't running nothing. We need to run something. We need some births of some Idi Amins around this globe that was taking back what's ours. You can grin and laugh, but I'm telling you what's gonna get it done. Appealing to them, they ain't gonna never give it up. If you don't know that by now, there's a problem. And I understand, the fighting and the struggling and all of that. I understand all of that. But you got to also understand who you're dealing with. You understand? He owns and runs all this stuff. You can march and sing and write as many letters as you want. Only way he gonna give it up, he got to be made to give it up. And he can be made to give it up by us converting and doing our own. It's enough of us to do it. We can do our own thing. You know what I'm saying? We and if anybody could show us, it's the brother we celebrate this evening, Marcus Messiah Garvey. I'm gonna leave with these words: up, you mighty race, you can be whatever you will. So what will we?
Thank you. Yeah, we just application, apply it. Brother Doctor?
Yeah, I kind of just agree on what Brother Hemrick said, but piggyback. Yeah, man, you got to think of something, man. You don't have the power, you don't have the leverage. You said they went directly to Michael Jackson, to Beyonce, Baby, and made them change. They went directly to the source. You're fighting radio stations, man. You're not fighting directly to the source like they did. And one of the problem is you don't have the leverage, you don't have the power, man. They had the leverage and power. You need to find the leverage. You need to find that power. You need to organize something, man, where you better shut them down overnight. And until you find that, man, it's they're gonna keep putting this stuff out. Like I said, some videos interesting. It should be again. It should be 18 and over. I know that for sure, man, because that was those some wild videos. But hey, radio stations, I think kind of wrong angle because I just saw it on YouTube, man, and the whole video, the whole colorful video. And I don't listen to radio station. I only try to listen to Nilly Fuller or somebody like that. But you got to find that power and that leverage, man. That's what you're missing. You don't have the power yet, young man.
Nah,
And
nah.
you find that power, that leverage to control them and to make them shut them down and change that lyrics, make them change it, to like, I agree with you saying, but you got to find that power and leverage, man. That's what you need. I wish, all these people dying, man. I wish I could invest in acres and acres of land for burial plots and gave all the rappers half off when they bury the families half off. I'd like to get a memorial museum where I can show all the dead rappers that have been shot and charge people to come in. I'm more of an investor, man. I can invest in some land and do like a rapper's burial site. Like, you got the Hollywood out here, you got where you bury all the stars. I'd like to get a thing, a museum and get, bury all the rappers there, man, because you're gonna get clients every month, victims and, that's my thing on investment, but you need that power, man. You're gonna need a lot of power, a lot of people. Like you just said, you need 3 million, man, to shut them down. You just got a little work ahead of you. You can do it. You just got to organize all them people to shut them down, man.
Brother Addison, can I ask you one quick question? I can't pronounce your name that they've been saying, but I'm just reading off the computer.
Kwabena.
Kwabena. Yeah. Have you ever heard of David Banner, and what do you think of him?
Yeah, Dave Banner went to Southern. He was the SGA president of Southern, the school I graduated from. I was there a few years before him. And David Banner, and if you want to look at videos, look at the video Tip Drill. He did the video Tip Drill, which really caused a lot of flack for BT, him and Nelly and others. I think he even produced the video. He was in it where they slid a credit card down the rear end of a stripper. And it was really like tipping strippers. It was really a crazy video. When I was teaching high school, substitute teaching high school, I came in, sister jumped up in front of the class and started dropping it like it's hot. Talking about, did y'all see that Tip Drill video last night on BET? But BET was protested by them. So Dave came to, Brother Banner came out to the Indianapolis Black Expo, was playing in this basketball game. Baba Kwesi, Ron Harris, ancestor, good brother. He invited me to come down there with him. We were struggling against these tobacco companies using hip hop as a method to get more smokers. They had a cool DJ mix contest. Baba Kwesi was speaking on that. And Banner was hooping in the game. And so I called him to the side. I said, bro, this is about 2006. I said, man, I saw that Tip Drill video, bro. We know the intelligence. We know what you got. We checked him and challenged him, just like you said. And, you could do better. I'm not saying that we were the ones that helped make him think. I'm sure, hopefully we were. But lately, man, he's been coming forth. He's been coming hard on the N-bomb being dropped. He's been making the music he's been making. He had a song where he gives it up for Patrice Lumumba and his song with Sister Ciroc. And, I've seen his lectures since then. And when he came up to Chicago State and what have you. So David Banner has done some good work recently. He's evolved from that ratchet stuff he was doing back when Tip Drill came out. So I got to respect the brother Dave Banner. And by the way, Dave Banner, since he does that, he gets very, very, very little bit of radio play now.
Right. See, that's why we need our own. But anyway, I was listening to him on YouTube about his I don't know if his latest album or not, called The God Box. You familiar with that?
No, I don't think I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, The God Box. I was listening to the brother, and I didn't know him in his early stages, but it seemed like when he's telling his story, he went through a transformation just like Malcolm. When Malcolm was in prison, how he came out and how he was different. Seemed like David Banner did a similar type thing with lyrics and stuff that he was rapping about from early days. So anyway, I just want to add that in.
No, we say we give it up for David Banner and the brother before you. I just want to say if we gotta, I mean, I try not to say I so much because if it's just me or something that you got to do, it ain't gonna happen. The part when you said organize, yeah, we got to do that, but it's gonna have to be way more than me for this fight. So I just want to reemphasize that again.
All right, Professor Rob.
Got a couple of issues. It's not just them playing it, it's the people buying it. And more white people buy it than black people. And as long as they can sell it, they're gonna play it. And you know, I mean, you can, they sell records now that they don't even play on the radio. People send them out the trunk of their cars. People just get hip to it. Then second, their biggest argument is the First Amendment, freedom of speech. We got the right to say what we want to say. You don't have to listen to it. That's their attitude. So the struggle got to be one in which we train people, encourage people not to buy or listen to it. I mean, it's a long way to get it done. But I don't think people, well, I can't say people won't spontaneously go out there and start tearing up stuff, but very few will do it over music, you know. And so it's just a challenge. But the struggle got to go regardless of that. Who cares about a constitution that they don't even respect, you know, with freedom of speech? So, and, you know, but like I said, these kids are downloading it, paying that music. You buy music off the internet now. There ain't no more record stores on it. You know, no more places you buy it. You know, it's just a struggle now. It's a different struggle. But it can be won and it will be won. We're winning back the hearts and minds of our people. And as long as he's teaching and raising it to young people, he may not reach all of them, but he reach some of them. You know, I mean, I've been a professor at Long Beach, and you know, some of the students come up to me and say, "Man, I'm glad you told me about this and told me about that. I'm gonna change about this and change about that." It's like trying to get people to eat vegetables instead of fast food. It ain't easy. You know, I have the right to eat what I want to eat. Oh, okay. You know, but Kwabena, you know, and you back east, they got more of a congregation of Black people, and they're more progressive. Like what Dr. Khalid Muhammad said, the West Coast is the worst coast. You got to compete with Hollywood, Disneyland, Magic Mountain, Knott's Farm, and all the other madness is out there. But go ahead, Kwabena.
I miss Magic Mountain, but I know what you mean. Yeah, that's my spot. Hey man, but you know, and Professor, I know my sister Carrie, you know, she was on the other day to asking you, did you remember her last time? And she was with Brother Ricky, my brother-in-law, old brother-in-law, Ricky Pierre. And I'll never forget, he gave me the book.
I know Ricky.
Yeah,
he gave that name.
Yeah, and this is the time when I really became, because he gave me the book, and I always give credit to this book, Enemies Clash of the Races.
Hakeem Hajibuti.
Yes, and I read that book, man, and I was like, wow. Then I read Stolen Legacy. So your influence went from him to me. So I just appreciate that. Like you said, it makes a difference. And you know, from then on, you know, I was reading before then, but those books during that, what I call the Afrocentric 80s, or African-centered 80s, we even share in our presentation because hip hop was into a lot of that. But when we talk about the First Amendment, that's one of the pieces that we use because our brothers and sisters from Rage Against the Ratchet out of Philly, they went at them, and also Paul Porter, former BET host, and had this thing called Rap Rehab. They were going to the FCC, and the FCC said that we uphold the First Amendment rights to free speech. However, because our children are most likely to be listening, we do not allow, or it's in violation of our decency standards for stations that we govern to play indecent or profane content between the hours of 6 in the morning and 10 o'clock at night. because those are the hours that our children may be listening. He said, now after 10 o'clock, they give them a little leeway. However, obscene content is never allowed. And so these are the FCC's own rules, and they're not enforcing those rules. That's why we did that formal complaint against them, and that's what, and their attorneys. I mean, their attorneys at iHeart and at Crawford, they had to respond, had a certain time to respond to us, and we responded in kind. And so free speech, yeah, they uphold that, but when it comes to children, even the FCC says we got to do something. They're just not enforcing it. Now, when we file complaints against them, they do levy fines, and they have levy fines against different radio stations. But we were trying to just take their license or stop the license from being renewed, and that's when the FCC again ruled against us. And so, if that had a bigger push, like probably nobody know this even happened. If we were able to get congressional hearings, righteous congressional hearings that we're trying to get, I mean, there's some things that we can do. If we, like I tell the people right here, these churches right here who be trying to do stuff in this crazy place where I live, if, in Gary, if we just got one congregation, instead of going to having a church in the church on Sunday morning, to come out to this radio station that plays pornographic, violent music for our children and our youth on Sunday and demonstrate there, that can make a difference, or at their sponsors. So it could be done. We just, like the brother said, we just got to find the right tactic, or that sees that right time or that moment, or maybe hit that person that's like you said, Professor Rock, inspired the youth that like a Dr. King or Huey or Bobby or Malcolm. I don't know. I mean, but we're gonna continue to fight and struggle against this.
Don't give up the fight. That's where it is. You got to keep fighting until you can't fight, and then you pass that baton on when it's time for you to transition. So it's just keep doing what you're doing, brother. Excellent job. Okay, so Professor Rock.
Yes.
On Monday, you have a guest, and we're going to learn about that guest in a few days, right?
Probably by tomorrow afternoon. I thought, see if we can get the brother that is out of Atlanta that wrote the book, We Shoot Back.
Okay, we'll get him back on. Okay, good. That'll be good. So next Wednesday, we won't have a show. And then the following Wednesday, we in 2 weeks, we have Brother Thomas coming back on. And he's gonna, do he has a couple of things he want to talk about. So we'll find out. It'll be on the website, communityeducationnetwork.com, the topic for Brother Thomas in 2 weeks, and then Professor Ra has a guest on Monday. Mm-hmm. So I would like to thank Brother Kwabena for coming and giving us this excellent information. Thanks to Sister Make It Happen, Linda Shorter, Brother Doctor, Brother Mashinda was here. He must have had to go. Brother Hembrick, and we're gonna keep the fight up. We're not stopping. Professor Ra's not stopping. Kwabena not stopping, and Brother Doctor gonna keep doing what he doing. So I'm gonna say each one teach one in Conscious Corner. Everybody have a good evening.